disaster in American history.
It was a big mess.
The day of July.
13 months later, and I still can't describe it. Utterly unbelievable.
Thank you, Lord. We're alive.
Who's going to be able to help us?
In late August of 2005, Hurricane Katrina, one of the deadliest hurricanes in American history, roared ashore. With its 30-foot storm surge and winds reaching up to 155 miles per hour, Katrina destroyed much of the Gulf Coast region. During this national state of emergency, volunteer groups across the nation formed to offer relief help. The students, faculty, staff, alumni, and surrounding community members of St. Bonaventure University, located in southwestern New York, united as a volunteer group known as BonaResponds. Professor Jim Mahar led the group to the Gulf Coast.
It was utter destruction everywhere you looked. It was, you could look left, you could look right, you could look forward. In most areas, there wasn't a house or tree standing. And I had seen pictures on TV, but it was beyond anything that I could imagine. When we got into, most of our work was in East Biloxi for most of the time. East Biloxi didn't have quite the wind damage, but they had flooding, a storm surge, and a lot of storm damage, a lot of trees down as well. But right along the coast, it was utterly unbelievable. It's a life-changing experience.
I'm a professor, assistant professor at St. Bonaventure University, and I teach management entrepreneurship, and I help to run this effort. How did I get involved in this? Well, number one, I'm a Mississippian, so I've been gone for a long time, but when this happened, it obviously was something that touched me in a very, very deep way. Really what happened was that Jim Mahar and I got together, and we pretty well decided we wanted to do a service trip. Students,
faculty, we gutted houses, we did roofs, we did mold crews, we hauled trees, cut up trees, moved them out. We went to the local humane society, took care of dogs, cleaned the shelters. I mean, literally, there was everything. Worked in warehouses. There's just tons of work to be done.
I found out about BonaResponds through Jim Mahar, because he was my finance professor. And so he went down over midterm break of 2005 in October. And then, so I knew that he had planned on getting a big group together. So I went to the interest meetings and decided it was something I wanted to do. And we'd seen footage of some of this stuff, but we didn't realize how, like, within one community, Biloxi, how terrible it was, like how much it ripped apart just everything, and how many people it affected. So getting down there and seeing that, like, I think that was the first time you realized, wow, we actually are going to be doing a lot of hard work down here, and it's really good that we're here.
It's really difficult to explain to people, as you found when you were down there, you cannot take a picture that can make people appreciate just how bad some of those areas are, the magnitude of it.
It was very disconcerting. You would see the golden arches, but if you drove to McDonald's, it really wasn't there. Walmart really wasn't there. All of the things, that the signs were still in the air, but there was nothing there. And it's a little frightening. It's a feeling of abandonment, like I'm really alone here. And I'm sure as volunteers we felt that way. If you're living there or want to go back, you know, that's how you feel. It's very unsettling.
It really was. Amazing. Amazing experience.
Months after the storm, residents were willing to reflect on their experiences and show gratitude for any help they received. Many were displeased with the government's reaction to the devastation, yet still remained hopeful to rebuild Biloxi.
It wasn't just another hurricane, but we decided to stay, and that was really not a good idea, but that was the decision that we made. Fortunately, we wound up in the loft up here, and also the Lord allowed part of the roof to be blown off in the event that we would have had to get out, because we was only 6 to 8 inches away from having to abandon the entire house. So when we came down, you know, it was very depressing and frustrating because we had worked so hard. I had just remodeled actually the whole house, and I had just finished the last room maybe 3 days before the storm. And then after that time, I came down and it was all gone. You know, it was water had come in about 6.5, 7 feet in the house.
There have been so many people who've been beautiful as far as pitching in and helping out. So 20 feet of water came through this block. The rain coming in had damaged the flooring and had caused the insulation in the ceilings to get wet. As a result, mold set in just about all the rooms. There was debris all over the place. The roof was half off, you know, water all in the house. It was very depressing. But then the only thing I could say is, well, thank you, Jesus, because at least my house was still standing, wherein there were so many houses in the past where it was nothing but slab. So much debris still down that it's going to take a long time to get it all up and rebuilt. But as they say, it's going to be a bigger and better Biloxi.
We got a lot of helping hands out there. There's a lot of people, even though it doesn't seem like it just to look at this house and look around, there's a lot of people who are really on our side and waiting, and they are available. And there's many people that we haven't even run into yet that we know are in our future and they're going to help us.
We still have some good people around here in the United States. We had 9 feet of water in the house. Of course, that damaged it a lot, you know. It took us from August to November to get us a trailer to live in. And we had to go every day. We went every day to FEMA to see about a trailer. They kept telling us to have patience. And my patience was just about running out because it's kind of hard to live with people that, you know, you don't know, and it's a small house that we're staying at.
I think our city government has concentrated far more on the casinos and getting the businesses up and running. And they're just kind of playing around with a lot of residential areas. And I'm not real pleased with our city government so far.
Residents were not the only ones who noticed the local and national government's slow response.
If the Gulf Coast had depended on the government and organizations like the Red Cross, they would have been much, much worse off than they are. Thank God for the volunteers and the church organizations that we saw, and organizations like the Salvation Army that were there that really helped.
They were upset at how long it took them to get trailers. They said how they knew people that still hadn't had trailers yet, and we were down there months and months after the storm happened.
It's not just the devastation, it's what happens right after the devastation as you're trying to take care of people. Bonnie and I, one of the reasons we found ourselves down in Houma, Louisiana, southwest of New Orleans, we could find no place to put our trailer where we could live in this trailer for several months and help people. Again, the government could have set up places for volunteers, not just the Red Cross that's supposedly handing out food, but volunteers that would come down there and work and help people put their roofs on. We put roofs on houses for 2 months. You know, and we had to go 50 miles out of New Orleans to find a place to put our camper.
During the service trip, BonaResponds teamed up with another volunteer group known as Hands On USA Network.
Everybody's here because they've all got that certain thing inside of them. It's like, you know, you actually got off your ass and quit what you were doing in your hometown or whatever, or your college, and you came out here to actually do something for other people instead of yourself. And we all share that trait here. It's like something I've never felt before in my life. I mean, it doesn't compare to when you, like, go and have a canned food drive or whatever, you know, it's that times a million, you know.
With members from all over the country, Hands On set up a camp for volunteers to stay. Each day, crews gathered and were assigned to different tasks led by long-term volunteers who typically reside at the camp for at least a month.
I do a lot of things. I mean, like, as of now, I'm leading mold crews and interiors crews, and during the duration that I've been here, I've done everything from walking dogs to doing street therapy, talking to people on the street, seeing what they need, seeing how we can help, to gutting out houses, getting every single thing out of the house, including like refrigerators that have had food in them since the hurricane. You know, like houses that are pretty much abandoned, and so that can be pretty fun. But smashing drywall, you know, there's a whole like long list of things that I've been doing since I've been down here. Now we're removing all the mold from all the woods up in here, because as we all know, when wood gets wet, it gets moldy, and mold is just this crazy animal pretty much. And if you were to put sheetrock over the mold, not only would, number one, it would eat through everything and just keep on growing and just get worse until pretty much the foundation of your home collapse. But if you breathe this stuff, it's really dangerous. And I was talking to a guy yesterday whose father didn't believe that mold was bad for you, and so he just put all the sheetrock up over it, and within a month he was in the hospital because of respiratory problems. And so, yeah, that's really the main thing, is trying to keep people healthy after they rebuild their homes.
The first couple of days I worked on the mold cruise, which became famous with the mold bracelets, but that was basically just demolding houses, and you had to be in Tyvek suits and with headgear on so you didn't breathe anything in. So it was really kind of strenuous because you were sweating to death and you had to do it for the whole day basically. Different jobs were gutting houses where you would just take crowbars and break apart floorboards.
I mean, it's something that you just don't think is possible, that you're like, well, if something doesn't get done now, it's never going to get done. And there have been numerous times when I've thought to myself, this trip, this project, whatever, is just not going to get done. And you just push yourself a little further, make a few phone calls, and it usually works. Just don't give up. I love doing it. It's a blast. It's really, really fun.
It's fucking sweet because it's all people that are upset at what's going on, and they've kind of had it with like society or whatever, and they're like, I don't know, rebels. And they fucking go climb trees with me, and go over fences and stuff. And they fucking work hard. I hate people who don't work hard. I hate them. And we're clearing out a park so that people can walk there. And East Biloxi is a shitty place, and fucking nobody has any woods to walk in and like have a good time and like relax. So we're creating a space for them to do that and for them to learn about their environment.
Aside from the hard labor volunteer tasks, BonaResponds members took initiative to start fundraisers focusing on the children who were affected by the storm.
Me and a couple other students headed up a Little League drive, and that was basically to furnish Little Leagues down in Mississippi with baseball equipment, because the two leagues we worked with lost their baseball field. It was flooded, and their equipment warehouses, so their storage centers, so they didn't have any equipment, so the kids couldn't play. And one league was for young girls and one league was for boys. We basically just started using who we knew and resources around the area for donations of equipment, and if they didn't have equipment, then money, so we could take all this equipment down with us so the leagues could start playing again. And we took a big trailer full of stuff down, and we filled some of a moving truck with things, along with books from the book drive. So we took a lot of equipment down and had a picnic where we donated it to the two leagues, and some of the players were there, and they immediately started playing with the equipment and like tossing the balls, so that was a lot of fun to see them so happy. They let us know that it was very appreciated, because that's a fun thing to do when you're a kid, is your Little League, and they couldn't do it until we brought that down to them.
This is our book drive that's been taking us for the last 3 months. We got these books shipped here from New York, from St. Bonaventure, and we collected 4,000 books for schools in the Gulf Coast, Bay St. Louis, maybe Louisiana, and Biloxi.
We've had a really good response. Unfortunately, a lot of schools that we wanted to donate can't take them because
their schools have been ruined by the hurricane. So it's weird, because like you call schools and like they won't even exist anymore. It's we would either not get through, or they would want the books but they wouldn't be able to take them. And the awesome thing about dropping them off here at Pastoral Elementary is that they're going to take whatever they can use, and whatever they can't, they're going to help us distribute. Right? There's great, so we're really excited about that.
Many of the books that were destroyed by Katrina, these families, these kids, and these even libraries now have books again. And I mean, it was just a really good thing. And I guess that in some ways has sort of pushed this idea as well that BonaResponds was formed for just working in Biloxi or in the Gulf. But I mean, we can't be in the Gulf all the time. And in some ways, we can find similar work or ways to help down there even when we're up here. I think that's one of our real fortes, that because there's no hierarchy. It's just a very organic organization that if you suggest an idea, there's a real good chance we're going to go with it.
Felt sort of helpless because you couldn't help everything. You could just do a little bit, but it still had a huge impact. So based on that, coming up here, I feel like volunteering any time you possibly can and for anything is very important. Just because for that huge of a storm and you helped out a little, like it made an impact. So even smaller problems like you have up in your local community, you can have an even larger impact.
The way I look at BonaResponds, I mean, it started with Katrina. We're in Buffalo now, and this was after the storm. There was the October surprise snowstorm. They got 2 feet of snow. It was so heavy it broke branches, and it's just a disaster. I mean, we've had local service days. We've painted almost the entire Archbishop Walsh High School. We've worked at the SPCA in town. We've worked at the hospital, the Olean General Hospital. There are those in our advisory committee who keep telling us we need a mission plan. I'm afraid to tie us down. I don't know if I want a mission plan. We want to be able to respond to community needs. And if the community need is a storm like we have here, if it's Katrina, if it's a high school that needs painting, if it's the hospital that needs their curbs cleaned. I mean, I don't know what it is, but I think just respond to community needs. And community, it's a global community. So right now we're purely domestic. We actually turned down some jobs that were international, not because they don't need to be done, just because we don't have the resources, the manpower, the expertise.
So without volunteers, like hands-on network, like if we didn't have hands-on, if little groups didn't spout off of that, like BonaResponds, I really don't think there'd be as much progress down there, because people can send money, and you can always send money down to where an emergency has happened, but you don't know how that money is going to get used, and you don't know like who's going to take responsibility for it. So I think it's better to use like your human resources and go down and see what you can help out.
Time is still, there is so much to be done. There's so many gaps, there's so many people that have needs that need to be fulfilled.
Having such a close to death experience like that, it's going to make people realize, you know, what's important in life, and that's the air in your lungs altogether. It's like, you should be lucky you have that, not some fucking iPod or a couch or whatever, a car, nice clothes. Who cares, man? As long as you're living.
So it was a life-changing experience, and just made us appreciate family more, and let us know that material things, they're nice to have and they are important, but that's not really what the core person, it's the family.
More moving things I think I'll ever have happened to me. Walking through the airport, first day, we were leaving. After being in Biloxi, we were leaving through the airport, and I have no idea, total stranger came up to me and hugged me and said, "Thanks for coming." And it's just like, what do you say? You're welcome? I mean, it doesn't do it. I mean, it's like, we'll come back.